Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We got a little 5-game slate here on Tuesday night. In this one, taking a look at the Jazz, the Utah Jazz headed to the Clippers in LA. A lot to like in this one. If you're rooting for the Jazz, I'm not, but we'll see what happens. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com with some best bets and player props in there for you. And make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Got a couple other videos up for you today, including that player props video we love to bring you each and every weekday. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's jump into it.
Yeah, the Jazz are only -1 at LA because Rudy Gobert is questionable. He missed Sunday's game. Hassan Whiteside also questionable, so they might not have their backup center. And Bojan Bogdanovic remains out with that calf injury. So that explains the line, I suppose. But LAC has lost 5 straight. And, they haven't even been close recently. They had the worst net rating in the NBA during that span. But quickly looking at the other 4 games on this Tuesday, Bucks are +1.5 at Philly. That total has risen from 227 to 232. And we break it down in a separate video. Not sure where you land on the total, but we expect the Stars to come out with Giannis leading the way. Bulls are -4 at Washington as they're on a back-to-back. The Lakers without LeBron or AD +12 at Dallas. Pistons are +14 at the Nets, who should have Kyrie tonight. And then we come to this game, as I mentioned, the Clippers have lost 5 straight, worst net rating, second worst offensive rating, 4th worst defensive rating, worst rebounding rate, and they're 25th in 3-point defense during that span. Now, they've been off since Friday, so that's a big rest advantage. For some reason, that seems to hurt this young team. They're 1-10 against the spread when they get 2 or 3 days off, and they're 5-14 against the spread with a rest advantage on the season. They've dropped now 7 of their last 9 games at home against teams with winning records. But really, I'm just kind of trying to read between the lines here and see. They seem to just be positioning for this play-in tournament. They're 4 games ahead of NOLA for that 8th spot and 6.5 behind Minnesota for the 7th. So there's not a lot of potential for movement. They only have 6 more games after this Jazz game. I don't think they feel it's the worst thing in the world to fall to the 9th spot with Paul George ready to play a playing game against the Lakers and perhaps just take a lot of schadenfreude from eliminating the Lakers, because they have done that at every turn this season. And especially in the last one, Reggie Jackson just danced all over their head. It was very joyful for anyone who is a Clippers fan, I'm sure. But strategically, you don't want to fall. You don't want to fall to the 9th spot. But at the same time, losing 5 straight in crushing blowout fashion just shows me that this team is just kind of throttling down ahead of that play-in. And that includes a 30-point loss to the Jazz in Utah. Granted, Utah so much better at home, and they had Rudy Gobert for that one. But we saw Rudy Gobert was a sort of an issue for them in the playoffs last year against this team. If they go centerless tonight with a lot of Eric Pascal and finding Forrester there at the small ball 5. I don't think it's going to be an issue against the Clippers, who, they even when Zubac is out there, they're not a straight post team. They're a 5-out small ball spread team and not doing it very well lately. They just haven't been hitting shots. They haven't been scoring inside or out. So it's not like Utah will have a huge problem protecting the paint or the 3-point line. LAC scoring some of the lowest percentage of points off threes and allowing the 6th highest in this 5-game span points off threes. That's still how Utah scores, even though they haven't been scoring very much lately. They've struggled on this road trip, losing 4 straight to teams with winning records, but they did beat the Knicks to start the road trip. And it's just all 4 teams that they lost to are playing great ball right now. They went to their building on the East Coast and they lost. And it's a much different situation, I think, now going to Staples. They've beaten the Clippers in 5 of the last 6 regular season meetings. And the one guy they do have out there is going to be the best player on the floor, Donnie Mitchell. averaging 32 points per game, shooting 44% from three in those 6 games. Even better at the Clippers at the formerly known as Staples Arena. 35 points per game, 6.7 triples at 51%. And yeah, again, looking at LAC struggling to stop the 3-point line, also really, really struggling to rebound. Yep. I think those 2 areas are where the Jazz will excel. And I would even take an alternate line at -4.5 or 5.5 to get plus odds if you agree that Clippers might not even bring it at all tonight.
Love that. Yeah, I was going to say if we're as confident as we are right now at -1 with this team, Donnie Mitchell able to do what he does against this team historically and been sizzling hot, for a while now. I don't know why you would not take an adjusted line and get some some juice here. If you go -4, -5, like you said, on DraftKings, you can get it all the way up to about +250, +300, depending on how high you want to go. But I'll buy 4 points or so and get that money up big time. I really love that idea. The Clippers used to be a team that, in this season earlier, even without, their 2, Kawhi and Paul George all season, they've been a team that's relied on good defense and choppy play and, knowing that they don't have the offensive weapons without their 2 big guns to really hang with any offense in the NBA. Ty Lue, being a very good coach, has done what he needs to do to get guys in there to score via some small ball lineups and be able to play Nick Batum at the 4, but also, and even at the 5 at times, but also making sure that pace stays slow and that they're boxing out, they're rebounding, and they're taking care of the ball. They haven't done that. So if you're not going to do that without the ability to score like they don't have, then you're going to be in trouble. And in those last 5 games, that I was going to start there with what you said there at the end about the rebounds, which is just huge. I mean, they're giving up the 2nd most rebounds per game over their last 5 during that time frame. You mentioned that they're giving up the 3rd highest 3-point percentage to their opponents, and giving up those 118.5, 119 points a game in that time frame. There's nothing else for them here other than being able to slow things down. So they're out of options at this point, essentially, for what they can really do against the Jazz. I love your theory that they would love to put the end to that Lakers season. I do think there's some legitimacy to that. I'm not poo-pooing that idea at all, to be honest with you. And them getting themselves into seeding. I mean, I would rather play the Lakers in the play-in game than pretty much any of the other teams right now, even the Spurs if they make it, or the Pellies or whomever. I feel fine playing the Lakers, especially if I'm the Clips with plenty to play for like that. So I think if there's nothing to really like about them playing against those teams above 500, and the fact that Donnie Mitchell has done what he's done against them as of late. I mean, take Donnie Mitchell, take those points for Utah, in my opinion. Take that spread at -4, get it down there. Really, what the Clippers have shown us against teams with winning records, and what the Jazz have shown us when they're playing bad teams this season. It's been a big turnaround for them as well. We know the Jazz started the season with a lot worse of that record against teams under 500. They're 23-12 straight up now, but they actually started the season about it was something crazy like 5-6 or whatever it was against the spread against winning teams. And granted, there was a lot of huge spreads at home for them that were a little bit mistelling. But at the same time, I think even without Rudy tonight, the only thing you'd worry about is rebounds. But that's a huge point for me right now is the Clippers' inability to rebound and close out possessions is really what's killed them at this point. Opponents getting second chance points as well over the course of the last 5, and they're in the bottom 10 there. So I just don't know what we're looking at with this -1 spread unless I am going to they're going to come out tonight and completely surprise me. I think the Jazz should be 4 or 5 point favorites tonight.
Yeah, I think it's just that the Jazz have struggled so bad on the road. I mean, we've done 3 or 4 straight game videos talking about how bad they are on the road when they play a good team, and that, we almost guarantee that they're going to lose another road game, and they have. But, when they play a bad Western Conference team on the road, different story. And look, they're scoring 115 this season against Western Conference teams. We mentioned how bad the Clippers have been on both ends and in the key areas for the Jazz. So a team total of 109.5, like you said, you trust the Jazz to score with Donnie Mitchell leading the charge. Even if Gobert's out, even with Bojan out, they still score 108 a game without Bojan. And that's a really low total at minus 106 at FanDuel for you to get over that. I think you can get that, and you'll surely see some good player performance doubles. For Donnie to score 30 in a win is another good way to juke that money line if you don't want to go alternate line. But it's definitely possible that they blow out the Clippers if the Clippers don't really care that much. I mean, strategically, again, you don't want to have to win 2 games to get into the real playoffs, but it's a 4-game lead, so it is pretty safe, and they have easier games than this coming up. But really, it's about the Jazz for me winning when they're expected to. 44-23 as a favorite versus 1-7 as a dog this year. And now that they have to end this road trip on a bit of a high note because they know, as Josh is hoping that they won't, but they know they have to hold off the Nuggets. They're only a half game ahead now for the 5th spot. And you don't want to wind up in the 6th spot there, face the Warriors, who might be at full strength by the time you get them in late April.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't know. Who are you more scared of right now, the Mavs or the Warriors? It's pretty close there. I think it is about the division. I think Utah does want to finish ahead of Denver in that standpoint. Quick note, Denver is now plus 340 with a few games left and half a game back, minus 475 for Utah. So they're still expected to pull out this division. And I do think it's in large part because they're playing the Clippers, the Lakers, and they still have the Thunder left. But they do have the Warriors, Grizz, and Suns. So this is going to be one that they have to win. They have to take advantage of this opportunity to beat the Clips. If they don't, this is a huge missed opportunity for them. And look, the Clips right now in their last 5, we talk about how bad they've been. They're the guys getting their top minutes, right? Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, and Brandon Boston Jr., Luke Kennard, they're all getting a ton of minutes because they're still going to make sure they get those young guys in there. Robert Covington, and Reggie Jackson are getting minutes, but you even see Mook, Marcus Morris sitting, as you mentioned last game, only played 15 minutes with 2 points. So they're not really getting the vets in there, and I don't think that they're really looking for those clutch time performances and things of that nature down the stretch. So this seems one that you just take advantage of Utah, and I would be less than shocked if this is a double-digit to 15-point spread by the end of this game tonight. So that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page and check out those other couple videos we have for you on this 5-game NBA slate. And until we see you next, happy betting.